Shut up and sit down.
That's awesome.
It's where the big boys play. SICW.
Welcome to Square Ring Podcast, everybody. Episode 56. We are doing this a couple days late because everybody has been sick, but good enough to record now. It's going to be a short one, a quick recap, and some news. None of it good, except for those two are feeling better. That's good.
So mine's kind of bad, one's bad and one's kind of bad. It depends on how you take it. So I'll start off with the kind of bad. I don't know if you guys paid attention to AEW tonight, but Mercedes Moné debuted for AEW tonight. And the reason I say it's bad is because they are talking about how she's going to push the needle for that company. And my opinion is it's not going to fucking matter. I don't know what your opinion is, Bobby, or not, but
I don't even watch AEW.
You know, I was watching it when Punk was there, and I think they missed the boat with Punk. Mainly because real life stories pushes the needle. And just like back in the day when it was Matt versus Edge over Lita, you know, Lita was with Matt, then he got injured, was sent home. And while he was home, her and Edge started playing around and became a couple. And, and Matt found out about it, of course. And then they fired Matt over it because Edge was very popular. But then they were like, you know what? Let's bring him back because personal issues, they draw. And
they sell the tickets.
Right. And I think with everything that happened with Punk, with that fight backstage, I think they missed the boat. See, that's one thing you got to credit McMahon for. With all the dog shit stuff that he's done and is eventually going to find out about a lot more. He was very creative, and he would have ran with that Punk storyline. He would have forced them to wrestle each other. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. That could have been money. And instead, what they do, they let Punk go. And then they brought him back. Not enough time to play with the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega to play with that. What was that kid's name? Jungle Boy. Yeah. So it wasn't even a fight or anything. It was a verbal altercation. And they let him go off of that. Man, they could have ran the ball with that thing too. I don't know. I don't think Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné is going to draw the needle that they want or that they expect.
They're always 10 steps behind, and it's not changed. They're getting, in fact, more behind.
Well, let's just say that AEW is nowhere near what WWE is. They're two different companies, two different styles, but they're bringing in ex-WWE guys, to create buzz and to create the needle movement. But some of them, when she went to New Japan, they got a buzz off of her just because that was her very first wrestling show outside of WWE. But where did it go from there, and for her to sign with AEW, and then she pointed out, she did like a little interview in the ring saying that she's going to make this global, and everyone around the internet was buzzing around because most AEW stars can wrestle wherever else they want, but they're still contracted to AEW. So if she wanted to, she can go to TNA or she can go back to New Japan. But again, you signed her, and if that's part of her deal, what needle movement is it going to happen for your company? You basically so she's going to get another needle movement for TNA when she pops up there, or she's going to get another needle movement when she pops up in New Japan again. But where does that lead for AEW?
Well, it leads on the type of contract they signed her to, a hopes and dreams contract.
AEW is not going to move the needle until they can learn to tell a story.
Right.
Otherwise, they're just going to get. They just had Sting's retirement match. What's the one thing that comes to mind with Sting's retirement match?
About the match, that
Yeah.
would be that kid's bump into the glass window or whatever it was.
So, same thing as everybody talks about online. Absolutely nothing to do with Sting because they couldn't tell a story with Sting.
Right.
Yeah, I was blank. You asked that question. I couldn't think of a dang thing.
That's the
But
only thing people talk about is that flip onto the glass.
they did let him keep the belt though, so that would be the only thing to talk about with Sting, because that's kind of unheard of that they let you retire with the belt. Of course, it was beer. Of course, it was a tag belt, but still, I don't know. To me, they have too many people there to be able to tell stories. They need to thin down the locker room, and maybe hire in one-offs. Because sometimes if you got a small locker room, you can't have the guy facing the same people over and over and over again. So then you bring in the one-offs, sign them to a 2-month contract or 6-month contract or even a year. You can tell a story within a year with someone and then let them go on their way.
Well,
So
does AEW do the jobbers? Because I haven't watched it in a while.
listen,
I
that's
only
the thing.
keep up with the news.
They're all kind of jobbers. There's so many wrestlers signed to AEW that a lot of them that have left WWE to come to AEW already want to leave AEW because they got hired, got that big, sign-on bonus, but they went there to be used, and they're not being used. They were used to get that pop initially, let them walk through the curtain, and say that I'm AEW, but then that's it. Then you get shuffled back into the locker room of everyone's trying to get as much TV time as they can, and not everyone's getting that because there's so many freaking people.
Because people love the stories, they love the drama, and they're just. I mean, you guys watch it. Is there one storyline right now in AEW that you guys know of?
So I don't watch it, and which is
So,
funny too because every time they come here, I go there. But it's normally because I get Compta tickets or I get tickets really damn cheap. And then, like everyone says, if you go to an AEW show, half the arena is not filled in. And of course, they try to keep that to the first time I went to an AEW show, they didn't even try to keep it. Like, I've been to a show before. I don't think it was wrestling. But I've been to a place where we bought tickets to it, and then they realized that it looked very holy in certain spots. So they got on the loudspeakers and say, "Hey, let's fill this in. Let's get closer." And so everyone jumps down some seats and gets closer. Well, AEW, the first time I went there, they didn't even do that. They just left those blank spots, seats not filled, and it just looked like shit. The last time I went, at least it was the camera side that wasn't really filled in. Like they really wanted to sell everything facing the camera, so they made sure they sold that, and then they started trickling these ones behind the camera, but still wasn't full. And so, fortunate for us, unfortunate for them, but we just jumped seats until we were practically down on the floor. And I've done that to every AEW show that's come. Because they're not filling out the arenas. Because their shit is so different from WWE. So again, to my point, I don't think she's going to push this needle that they think that she's capable of doing. I think the best time that she ever had was when they first debuted. The 4 women: Charlotte Flair, her. It was the four horsewomen, as I think they were going by.
mm-hmm.
That was like her peak time because that's when everyone was going for the women's wrestling, promoting the shit out of it, and they were great. But we've seen so many years of Sasha Banks that I don't think there's anything new that she can bring to AEW. Being there, I just don't see it. I mean,
No, but I've
that's
been
just my view.
that Chicago show where they have the females there. AEW needs to bring in those females because they do some insane aerials there.
Well, I know they used to bring in some jobbers because, and I hate to use the word jobbers, because, some of them are our friends that have made it there to do a one night appearance.
Yeah, but still,
Warhorse.
jobber, they're not going to be mad at you for saying that. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what
It's
it
most
is.
of the time.
But Warhorse, which is a great local wrestler, he's worked for SICW when he first started. He had a match with Cody Rhodes when Cody Rhodes was still in AEW. And we are all kind of excited in this area for Warhorse. He's a good guy. Never had any issues with him. He's a good talent too. I know he's he's a mix of like Macho Man. Well, he was. I heard he changed his gimmick around. He's getting a little bit more serious. But he used to come out in the red and the yellow and the tassels and everything like that. And he was more of like a headbanger / Macho Man mixture. It was very cool. And I don't know why he's changed his gimmick, but he's changing his gimmick. Maybe he thinks he's going to get another push or something more out of it. But I liked his old gimmick. But now I'm just running my mouth. But
I don't know. Contact him, see if he wants to come on, and we can ask him why you changed it.
Well, I'm not that close of friends with him. I'm sure I can probably find someone who is and maybe get him on. He mainly works for Dynamo. He also does
Glory, bro.
Glory Pro. Yeah. Bobby, did you get a thing via Facebook about South Broadway?
Huh.
All right, so you know how Nathan, you might not know. So there's two things. There's South Broadway, the building in the company, South Broadway, and then there's the wrestling promotion that me and Bobby both worked for called MMWA. Well, last Saturday, I got invited along with a couple other people. I didn't go just because I didn't want to start any shit. But South Broadway had a reunion of old wrestlers that worked for them, and they actually sent it out to a lot of the old wrestlers. No connection to MMWA. I'm sure they sent them out to some people from MMWA. But I didn't go. I know I heard a couple of our friends went, so I'm kind of interested to see how that played out. Just because there's still a rift there. Uh, just to put it politely, there's still a rift there. But this was for South Broadway, the actual company / building, and not the
That would have been cool to go in like representation of Big Tony.
Right. And I was really thinking about it, but that's when I was like in the middle of being sick, and all I really all I really did this weekend is lay in fucking bed. I'm just gonna be honest. Saturday and Sunday it was like in bed. I didn't roll out of there until I had to. But that's probably why I'm feeling a little bit better today, though.
I spent my
Needed those
weekend
2 days.
weekend in Rockford, so I was a little farther away.
Oof. Anyway, so the second bad news, and this is really bad news. So according to Herb Simmons, Haku double booked the dates of his seminar.
I did
So
see that.
we're not 100. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be moved or if it's just going to be canceled. But as of right now, the information about Haku coming in for a 2-day seminar, as of right now, it's put on hold. So we don't know if it's going to move to a different date or a different weekend, or
I
if
would
it's going to
imagine
be
it's going to be
canceled.
moved. He really wanted us to be his like pilot for it, so
Right. And there's still rumors of him going into the Hall of Fame, and I know they just announced another person. Thunderbolt Patterson is going in, which is and well, I've met him twice now. We met. I don't know if you met him, Bobby, but he was in CAC. He was there the first year we went, and then when I went to Iowa last year, he was in Iowa.
Yeah, I saw Herb had just posted a picture with him from Iowa.
Yeah. Now I myself, um, I remember watching one match with him only because when he was talked about so highly in Iowa about being someone that you should really look at and go back and study and watch his matches. So I did go back and study some of his matches just to see what he was like. And he looked great from what I've seen. I don't know what accolades he has accomplished. I know
He was a
he
tag
was
champ
very.
with Oli for a while.
Well, I do know back in the olden days it was hard for a black wrestler to get anywhere. Kind of like Ernie Ladd and even Junkyard Dog. You know they had to get built up, but they weren't treated right. I'll just say that they weren't treated right by the boys. They weren't treated right by the promoters. Of course, not all promoters, because Junkyard Dog went pretty far. He started in Mid South, eventually made his way up to WWF, and became well known. But it was a struggle for them back then. And Thunderbolt, I believe, had that same struggle. But it's kind of cool that he's going into the Hall of Fame, and I was able to actually shake his hand and thank him for everything he's done in the business in Iowa.
That's it.
Bill,
I got his Wikipedia pulled up. He's got quite a bit. Everything from champion wrestling from Florida, NWA brass knuckles champion to Florida heavyweight NWA champion. I mean, he's got a bunch of stuff listed on here. NWA tri-states champion, Western States Sports, a lot of brass knuckle champions for
Yeah, and then
NWA.
that brass knuckle championship, that's the same thing that Brody won. He was the knuckles champion for a while too.
Couple
But
tag
yeah,
champions.
and that's one thing that I took away from Bill DeMont up in Iowa, because he was one of the other ones that went into the Hall of Fame out there, and that's
Oh,
the Lou Thez Hall of Fame. There's another part of it, like
I'm
Tragus.
gonna, I'm gonna throw this one out there just because it's a couple names that we know here. He was NWA Georgia Tag Team Champions 3 times. Once with Mr. Wrestling, once with Tommy Rich, and once with Tony Atlas.
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
he also was the Atlanta Tag Team Champ with Jerry Briscoe. That one that Jim was talking about, the National Tag Team with Ole Anderson. He had Wahoo McDaniel, Toru Tanaka, and Johnny Valentine.
Yeah, so yeah, his acolytes are there. He
Yeah, and
was
they said that he could draw in Georgia like no one else. Like he was a great draw in Georgia.
yeah. I didn't know much about him when I was in Iowa, so it was great listening to other people tell stories about him. And then what I was going to say is Bill DeMont, gave his speech when he accepted the Hall of Fame out there, and he said, you need to thank the legends or the wrestlers that came before you for everything that they've done to the business to help you get to what you're doing in the business, and for the future people. So listen to him tell his story, and he's got such an up and down story himself. Bill DeMont does. Um, that was one of the first things I did after I heard that speech. Is I went up to Thunderbolt, shook his hand, thanked him for his time in the business, and I did the same thing to Bill DeMont too. When after he got done and was taking pictures with everyone. So Iowa, if you ever guys get a chance, they do the Hall of Fame once a year out there. It's a great time. It's kind of like the CICs, just in a smaller town and kind of a smaller atmosphere. But then they also do a wrestling show they do a Lou Thez Battle Royal, kind of how we do a Bruiser Brody. They do a Lou Thez one. And I think it's called the Thez Tragus Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
So he was Sweet Daddy Brown too, huh?
You're trying to push out that Bruiser Brody trophy? Is that what you're trying to
It was a
do?
little too far off screen for me. I had to, bring her in a little bit.
Yeah, look who's bragging.
Yeah, right. Let me move this camera a little bit closer to oops, to see that belt in the back. There it is. There's that beauty.
Well, you might need to
Ah,
bring it up a little bit.
yeah, you finally brought it home.
Well,
Yeah, this is my
See you
trophy. I
for the
got
rest
it.
of the podcast.
I got this one by stealing.
but anyway, so that's my two bad stories. Really bad that Haku couldn't come out and do his thing, and then the Mercedes Monet thing.
I'm hopeful that the Haku is going to get rescheduled, though.
I should hope
Yeah,
so, since everything that's been put into it.
right. And I'm hoping. Like I said, he's such a member of SICW that I want to see why not. But then again, you never know. He is pretty busy now because he's doing all these tours. If you pay attention to all of the reunion shows and stuff like that, he's like there in every single one of them now. So he must like traveling again and getting booked everywhere because he seems to pop up everywhere. But good for him though.
Have either of you talked to Herb that we have a full card for October or for April 6th? Because we didn't have one last
Yeah,
episode.
October's way too early.
No, I have not heard of a full card yet.
I
As far
tell
as
you
I
one
know,
match.
it's still just Bobby's match. He's going to be the headliner this time around, going against Attila still, and everyone else, because I know everyone else will try to chime in on that match. And then I got the other half of Devastation Incorporated. I got Peyton Ayers. But those are the
Well,
only two matches that I know.
we know that freaking Stephen E. there will be out there for Peyton Ayers. Maybe you could just take both of them out for me before I get to Attila.
Hey, that's a thought. We always got Gary Jackson in our back pocket too.
I say, and if anyone watched SICW Explosion this past Sunday, we see that Stephen E.'s back to throwing them fireballs too.
Yeah, he got Curtis this weekend. So,
Yeah, and
but
I don't know, Jim. You owe him a horse whipping though.
It would be a good favor to me if you did it.
if you guys watch that episode of SICW, it really shows that Ron Powers is thinking. He told Herb and he told Danny Boy that if they need his help, he's there. However, his wife will be very pissed off at him if he does come back. But
I'm
he
going to
did.
stand by my statement last week and say he's coming back.
Yeah. I think he's pretty much seen enough. And that, I think no doubt in my mind that him and Danny Boy are going to tag team or team up or do something and hopefully help us drive Devastation Inc. out of this company for good. I mean,
Well, it wouldn't
that would be
surprise
the best.
me to have him show up to get Bobby's back on the 6th.
Tex and
You
I
never
both
know.
know too. When you get that itch, it's you got to scratch it.
I mean, that's true. Every time that I went out for either my foot surgery or my back or anything, you're always itching to get back in. Always itching to get back in.
Hell, we took December off last year, and I was getting an itch just from 1 month.
Yeah, that was a very long month. I do say that, but I don't know. I think he's got at least a card booked in December so far. I believe I got it penciled down. I got so many dates in my book. Kind of crazy. Uh, let's see here. Anything else going around in the rest of the news? I'm thinking of yes. So the whole Vince McMahon story, it keeps involving and keeps unraveling. That's what I'm trying to work. Hey, you, shut up. So evidently there were some hidden people in one of the things that was going to court, whatever papers, documentations, and they had it labeled as like EVO1 and EVO2 or something that went along with business titles. Well, we found out that the other Khan, not Tony Khan, but the other Khan, can't think of his name either, Nick Khan from the WWE, who has been kind of like the one who took Vince McMahon's spot as like the COO, and Stephanie McMahon. Both have been named in that indictment or that sex trafficking case that's going on. So it's going to be interesting what unravels. So far, it's just a theory that those two knew, and their problem with it was they were help covering it up. So that's just as bad as doing it. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out, and in theory, that's why they think that Stephanie McMahon stepped out of the company as soon as she could, because she wanted to distance herself. And that's the theory that why years before this even happened, that's why Shane left, is because he discovered what his dad was doing and wanted no part of it and distanced himself from the whole company. So, it's
Well, it
all
helps
theory.
show he would be the only one I'd have respect for from that family. So,
Yeah, because he did it in like the late 90s, so, granted, evidently there's like 4 or 5 women that signed the NDAs or MDAs, NDAs, and evidently the FBI or whatever company that's going after him has been after him for a couple of years now. So it's not even this particular case that they started looking at him for. It was other cases. So it's going to be interesting, especially since he just sold off so much stock of the TKO or what is it, TKO?
yeah,
Uh,
TKO.
yeah, he's supposedly he made 400 million off of what he sold. So they don't know if he's prepared for something. Either a lengthy trial or to escape to some other country, and have his
Well,
money.
he can't go to Epstein Island anymore, so we'll have to find a different one.
That's true. I heard there's more than one out there. So.
Oh, there is. So he'll probably show up there.
Yeah. So that's
Allegedly.
a lot of people that I listen to other podcasts. Like I listen to Jim Ross's podcast, and Jim Ross when he was talking about Vince McMahon, Conway, I think it's Conway or Conway. He's the one that talks to Jim Ross to go back and forth. And he was asking Jim what he thought about it all, and Jim was like, we should just let it go, let's move on, move past all this. And I'm thinking, what a shitty thing to say. Let's move past all this. Like, there's so many things that's going to come out. Um, you know, what was the girl's name that supposedly got raped out in Saudi Arabia or Iraq? Ashley.
The
Yeah,
tough
it was.
enough.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Tough Enough winner. It begins with an M, her last name, but there's so many
Like
stories coming out
Massaro
about
or
that.
something. Sounds
There's
like
so many.
Massaro or Massaro or.
Yeah, it's something like that. But there's so many stories that are coming out about that, about who knew what happened, and how they tried to cover it up, and how they tried to say, "Hey, we're gonna bury you if you come out with this." So I mean, like, besides Vince McMahon's personal stupidity, there's other stupidity that's coming out now, and Jake the Snake won't mention names, but he said that there's other people that he's seen personally have seen shit happen to that might come out. and then he didn't want to say names because, you know, he didn't want to be the one that comes out for them. So I mean, God knows what's going to come out now that he has nothing to do. And TKO already came out and said McMahon has nothing to do with this company anymore. He might have a small share of stock in it now, especially since he sold a whole bunch of it. But he has no say in the company. What I hope and what I don't, where does Triple H fit into this? You know, right now he's doing such a great job of what he's doing right now with WWE. So I'm hoping his name is
there
brought up.
could be the reason why they brought in Dwayne Johnson as a board member.
It definitely could be.
Because Triple H is a smart dude. He played the politics game. If he didn't know, I would be surprised.
Well, you know, they're also saying that could be why they brought in. I'm going to move this camera back a little bit. Why they brought in The Rock, because you know, as soon as The Rock started showing up and he was announced, and Vince McMahon's story kind of went on the back burner for a little bit. Now you hear it pop up every now and then, like if something big happens where a name gets dropped. But for the most part, when you're talking about WWE now, you're talking about The Rock and Roman Reigns and Cody, and you know, there's a bunch of people saying that The Rock is going to turn on Roman Reigns, you know, so they can have their story. You know, he's going to turn on him so Cody can win the belt, so Cody finishes his story, and they can move on forward with their story. So
Yeah, but I agree with both of you that Cody's not going to end his story with the belt. His story will end, just not with the belt.
well, then his story won't end. The only way his story will end was if he wins the belt, because he didn't give a time period on when the story was going to end, you know. So it's one of those things that it's going to end when he wins the belt, if he ever does. If he doesn't win the belt, then you're probably going to hear this. My story's not over 5 years from now. You know,
It might be what they need. But I mean, The Rock's bipolar anyway. One time I read, he says it's definitely going to end. And then it may not end.
Any of you guys seen the new commercial for The Rock's energy drinks? He's dressed up as a
No,
girl.
I didn't even know he had any energy drinks.
I say he's had one for a few years. It's like AO something. It tastes pretty good.
Yeah. So you guys, not to go into conspiracy theories or anything like that, but have you guys heard the whole Cat Williams thing that he come out and talking and like told the world that that's the first thing that they have you do if you're trying to break into acting and everything, that they put you in a dress. It's like they try to see how far they can push you
Yeah,
before
he
they'll
had
start
Tooth Fairy
building
years
you up.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
so
it's the white party and then the humiliation ritual. It's common.
yeah, so you know, The Rock did that with that movie where he was dressed up
Tooth Fairy.
as the Tooth
It's
Fairy.
fair.
And now his commercial for his energy drink, he's dressed up as a lady. But John Cena has a new movie out. Um, I can't even think of the name of it, but I watched it. But through the whole movie, you know, through the movie, he's dressed up as a girl a couple times. And there's a section in it where he plays entertainer, a Vegas entertainer, but on like the B side of Vegas. So none of the
Yeah,
fancy,
he's sticking Ricky or something. Ricky.
Oh,
yeah,
He's a
Sticky Rick.
fake friend.
yeah.
Yeah, Sticky Rick.
No, it's not that. It's Ricky something in there because it's got his last name in it in the movie. But like a good portion of it, he's on stage and he's singing all these songs. Like one was one from I think it was Ozzy and then Billy Idol. But he changed all the words, you know, into like holding. He basically
Ricky
talked about jacking
Stenicki.
off the whole time.
Yeah, Ricky Stenicki. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, man, what the fuck are they doing to this guy now? Or, you know, one
Well,
of
he
his
wants to
first.
be more of a movie star. I mean, take a look at Zach. I mean, Zach dressed up like a girl through with The Rock in Baywatch, the movie.
Did they dress up as women in there?
Well, Zach did. He went as The Rock's date.
Nice. Yeah, so I don't even think I watched the whole movie of that. That was
How
never
could you?
really.
It was horrible. Sorry, Zach, but it was horrible.
Well, I mean, I didn't think it was a horrible movie, but you have this idol of John Cena who in WWE was nothing but loyalty, respect, uh, big good guy, and like it seems like every movie role he plays now, it's all about sex, drugs, and because one of his original movies that he just had a cameo in, he was a drug dealer and he was trying to sell drugs to some women. I think it was Cock Blockers was the name of the movie. And he was like, naming off everything he's got. I got the blue pill, I got heroin, I got shrooms, and and now he's coming out with this movie where he's dressed in drag and he's talking about jacking off constantly. Um,
He did Vacation Friends where he was nonstop partier.
right. Like what
He
the
went
fuck?
from the Marine to Ricky Stenicki. I don't know.
The first.
I see that as a step down.
Well,
Daddy's Home too. He was pretty good though.
well, that's because those were WWF movies, WWE movies. The
Daddy's Home
Marine.
2 was?
What one?
Daddy's Home 2?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
I
I
said, I
thought
didn't
you
think
were
that
talking about
one
the
was.
Marine still. The Marine movies were all WWE films, and some of those were really good. But then again, they still held John Cena up in that babyface, bigger than life hero. And then when he branched out and was trying to do it on his own, then he's picking up all these other fucked up roles. I mean,
Yeah,
fuck it.
he's circling the drain, but it was Paramount for Daddy's Home too.
I say, we
Even
say
though,
circle in the drain, but that man's still a multimillionaire.
Oh, I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
but look at the cost of his character.
right. He had millions and millions when he was a wrestler, so he didn't have to go out and take these shitty roles, to get his name in the acting world. He already had his foot in the door with, like I said, the WWE films. He did a couple commercials, um, because he was the voiceover for a lot of car commercials, whatever cars they were pushing. So, he had his foot in the door, so I think he could have waited and took some roles where it actually meant something versus taking all these roles that are, granted, you always hear that they get stuck in a particular character, so they go 180 degrees and do a fucked up character to show their range. But
Oh, I can't believe I forgot. Um, Now I'm blanking again. I watched it with my middle son. The DC show he was in on HBO.
Suicide Squad.
What?
Suicide Squad. No, it wasn't
No.
Suicide Squad.
What was
He
his
did.
character in Suicide Squad?
Yeah, what was
Homelander.
he played All American, didn't he?
Wasn't Homelander.
he wasn't Homelander. It was
No,
a
that's a
version
different
of the
show.
Suicide Squad. It was like alternate members.
Yeah. Hmm.
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, yeah.
It's like he was great in that show. I don't care what you say.
I haven't watched it, so I don't know. I like the Marine, even though his acting was horrible.
My middle boy and I watched Peacemaker together, and I ended up buying him all the Funko Pops from Peacemaker,
Oh my god.
including the one where he gives Eagly a hug.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, he's got a pet bald eagle that gives him hugs.
Oh really?
That's awesome.
Okay.
And he's so creative that the bald eagle's name is Eagly.
Eagle.
That is extremely creative. Wonder if you had a team to come up with that.
Probably.
Hey,
On
well,
other
then,
news, did you see that it doesn't say where or anything? Did you see Herb posted on our worker page an hour ago? Another
Nobody
show got
posts.
added.
another show?
October 26th in Breeze, Illinois.
In Breeze, huh?
I say there's no more details than that, but I mean we just keep growing and growing.
Man, yes. It's getting
Where the hell
crazy.
is Breeze?
What's that?
Where is that?
That's where the legendary Wally's Burgers is. Anytime I take my jet skis to Carlisle, we go through Breeze. We stop in Breeze. The wife will go to the Dairy King drive-through. I will get out and walk over to Wally's and get my burgers while she goes over there and gets her burgers. Dairy King has better fries. Wally's has better burgers.
That,
Burgers are what matter.
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh, Jim, how much money did you want for us to crash on your floor for May, for the Fan Fest?
Wait, is this open to everybody listening?
We'll have to talk offline on that.
He's just
You're
going
going
to
to have like
fans of the
20
podcast
people in
come
your
in. Here's
room.
the money.
Well, it's mainly because I don't accept money for those kind of things.
See, now Bobby's going to have my back on this one since you are family.
Yeah, we'll just talk offline. But speaking of that, hey, while we got a little spot here, I do want to chime in. We increased a few subscribers last week, so I want to thank the people that are watching this and
Yeah,
sharing
20
it.
was awesome. We need more.
Right, because I'm just gonna do a minute to plead with the audience here. Our first stretch goal is 500 subscribers. We are in the 300 range. I want to say it was 320. I think the last time I looked, or it was close to 320. So yes, we still need some more subscribers to get to that first threshold. And then it's 3,000 hours watched. And I think we're actually getting closer to that than we are on the subscribers part. So if we can have you guys that, follow SICW or follow ACW or follow the CAC, like what we talk about the Iowa and the legends that come through, help us out. We are just three men getting together and trying to have fun while we do this. But we would like to make sure that we have a purpose. And right now our purpose is to spread the knowledge of our promotions that we work for, or for like Bobby's son who's placed second in state in wrestling, anything
Awesome.
like that. And for all of Nate's activities that he does outside of work that we will not talk about, we need to. No. But anyway, yeah.
And we
So
won't
please
talk about.
just like, subscribe,
For legal
comment.
reasons.
Let us know how we're doing. Evidently you liked the episode from last week or the matches that Nate puts out. And I had one person talk to me and he goes, I'm shocked that you guys aren't like subscribers through the roof because all the classic matches that we put on. I would have thought too with the classic matches like the Kerry Von Erich one that you had on not too long ago. I was shocked that we haven't started climbing on the subscribers because of those. Because you can't forget about the classic matches, especially here in St. Louis. We push St. Louis wrestling, push wrestling at the Chase, the memories of it. Everything that we do for SICW has something to do with wrestling at the Chase attached to it.
Speaking of that, I'm on our page right now, and 2 days ago we put the Ken Patera versus Tommy Sharp. 1.3 thousand views already in 2 days.
So what are we at
So
now on
half of you can subscribe that watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
314 subscribers.
314. I thought it was close to 320.
See, and next week we have a Baron Von Raschke match coming out.
Yeah.
And
So
I might put two out on that same day because here's what our upload is going to be once everybody gets healthy. We record on Mondays. But on Tuesday, a Legends match will come out. Thursday will be our podcast coming out. And Saturday will be our territory matches for SICW, NWA, the things that we do live. Be like the February 9th, the Top Guns episode going to be coming out, I think, this Saturday, to where you can watch them win the belt.
There you go.
And then after that, I'll have Bobby's match, and unfortunately, we lost some gold that match, but you can still watch it.
Hey, not to change the subjects again. I'm pretty good at this as it pops into my head. And we have a love, I wouldn't say love hate, but, we had Silas Mason was supposed to come on the podcast, and then something happened where, I don't know, he never got back to us, so I don't know what happened on his end. But we did show one of his matches where it was at the Fan Fest last year. I just want to put this out there that if you go onto his socials, it shows that his house actually burnt down this weekend, and he lost everything. So on his socials, there's a couple of fans that attached to his socials and started a GoFundMe. So if anyone wants to help out Silas, I know in this business, shit comes up, shit happens. You hear from someone, hey, don't do that podcast, or don't talk to this person because this will happen. The wrestling business is kind of shady. And sometimes if you listen to the wrong person and they get something in your head, you don't do it. So I don't know what happened on his end and why he couldn't reconnect with us on doing our podcast, but we don't wish what happened to him over the weekend to anyone, really. For you to lose everything in a house fire, I mean, that's just tragic. So, if you
As
want to
long
go
as everybody came out alive.
right, everyone did, because I think it was just him and his girlfriend that lived there. Maybe she didn't even live there. I'm just putting two and two together, but I know he's alive, so which is great. But yeah, if you hop on, he's on just about everything. He's got his own YouTube. He's got his own, Facebook. But yeah, if you go to any of his socials, you can see that there's a GoFundMe. So if you have extra money, he is just now making a name for himself. So it's not like he's a legend where he's got money banked. He's got current money, which who knows what the
most
NWA.
legends don't have it banked anymore.
Right. So who knows if he had a stable foundation. So anything you can help, I'm just passing that along because I don't wish bad vibes on anyone.
So if you do go over there, let them know that the Squared Ring sent you over there for you to give. But with that being
nice.
said, I was thinking about Silas and what happened. And the thing that bugs me, not that he didn't come on or didn't give us an explanation, is that the only reason why we agreed is because James Beard backed him and said, hey, have him on. He'd be a good guy.
Right.
And something like that makes James look bad. That's what bothers me because James is a good friend of ours.
Right. Yeah, but like I said, who knows with this crazy business we call wrestling. Bobby always talks about the fishing story. I caught a fish this freaking big, and it turned out to be this one. I've had so many opportunities, and I talk about that the other white meat, which was a big ad campaign back when Lucha Libre was not. What was it? Nacho Libre? No,
You said Nacho Libre?
yeah, it was that movie. Jeff.
Yeah, that's Nacho
Libre.
Yeah, so that movie was out. It was like #1 in the box offices, and so Pork was doing this campaign ad, and they were doing the other white meat, and they hired me and Gary Jackson, and we went out to this whole ad campaign for a whole day. Where it was a photo shoot and videos and all this stuff. Nothing ever came up of it. They end up the same time they were doing it here in St. Louis. They were also doing it in California. and they end up hiring a guy that looked like the Ultimate Warrior. Well, God knows I don't look like the Ultimate Warrior. And so that's the guy who actually did the main TV commercials. So that kind of sucks. But, so you get promised a lot, different roles in movies or sitcoms or stuff like that, but nothing materializes. And then sometimes you got something that materializes, but only a handful of people see. Like I have a documentary out there, and it was doing great in a lot of independent films. And I know Herb Simmons and a handful of people. Yeah, so that was one of the pictures from it, and that was just a black and white version. But a handful of people got to see it. It got pushed through, but the gentleman who directed and filmed it and edited it, everything moved to California, and I still kind of keep in touch with him, and he tells me he's going to get it out, but it's been forever, so I don't know if he just scrapped the idea or if he's still going to do it or what's he doing. But I would love to get my hands on a copy of that. Of course, that was still when I was doing the Masked Texan, so by the time I get my hands on it, it's going to be actually like my past that I'm going to kind of remember again because it's been so long. It's kind of like the matches that I find on YouTube and then spread them back out because I don't remember having the matches. So it's going to be one of those. Yeah, that was like one of the best pictures that they took, and they allowed me to have after they canceled our ad campaign. They let me have a few pictures, and they told me, "Oh, don't put them on the internet or anything like that." So I actually waited a few years before I actually put those out.
Well, what's funny is because either one of these pictures we're going to put on a shirt and offer it through the podcast. Like
Well,
Bobby's Tune Me or one of his other ones that he's
I
not
like
selling on
Bobby.
his own that'll come through the podcast.
I like his t-shirts. He's always creative on his t-shirts. But that one I think would make a good looking one, even though I don't
Yeah.
wear that mask. But that was
You don't
actually a
wear
Rey
any mask
Mysterio
anymore,
mask.
so it's fine.
Huh?
Yeah, since you're a baby now, you don't wear a mask.
Yeah, you
Right.
don't wear any mask. It's good.
Right.
So this will be just Lucha Texans all.
A collector's edition.
It's going to be a limited number. It's going to be, $2,000 a shirt. No,
Yeah.
it'll be limited, but it won't be that much money.
Only need to sell one.
Yeah, that's true.
Just have to go through all of the ones I have of Bobby and
Again, throwing it to the audience. If I would love to take like a survey of everyone watching. If you guys would be interested in the Squared Ring podcast T-shirts, because we can actually start making those. I got a press. I think Bobby's wife has got a thing that will make the stencil or whatever we'll use. So if there's interest in it, by all means, we'll produce it.
yep, and I have the contacts for the shirts through
Well, even Bobby knows a way. He sells T-shirts online, and he knows a way to get that all set up to where you can order through a third party, and we still get credit for it, and you guys still get the T-shirt.
like putting that one out on for a T-shirt for the Squared Ring limited edition.
That's a 4th of July special right there.
You're right.
Yep.
People take note. It's just around the corner.
But guys, you have to let us know if you want it. So put a like or write in the comment because now I guess whatever YouTube problem had with us is now gone. So now we can do some things that we couldn't before.
Hey, even in my personal page, Jim the Big Texan Hoffarth, I noticed a rise in my subscriptions. I'm still trying to battle another threshold of that 3,000 hours watched. That's my next threshold I'm trying to compete for. But it's kind of crazy. You never know what's going to make you guys watch this stuff because I reposted on this week's episode of SICW TV. There was a commercial for the June 1st melee at the Midway or on the Midway, and I thought that was the neatest thing that Herb had put together. And it was a minute long, and it had Teddy Long's partner in crime, Mac Davis. He was doing the voiceover for it. It looked so cool, and that only got like 400 views, and then it's like the day after that I posted me hitting Attila over the head with a cowbell, and I got like 1,500 views that day. So it's just crazy what you guys watch. But let us know what you guys watch, and we'll try to lean that way too.
Yeah,
So
in our last one that has like almost 4,000 views, I went through and like Jim always says, guys, we will respond to your comments. Sometimes it takes us a bit, and I went through, spent an hour replying to people in some of our comments, and one of them wants to see Billy Jack episodes.
oof.
So I'm going through Wrestling at the Chase footage to find
I don't know
some
if he
Billy
wrestled
Jack.
at Wrestle the Chase. He was mainly up in the Seattle, Washington type of area, and he made the news recently because supposedly he killed his spouse, Billy Jack Hayes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he made the news because he's another legend, mainly up in that Seattle area. He did come to the WWF for a little bit, and even had an LJN figure. But so he's got to be pretty old. He's got to be in his 70s, maybe early 80s.
Yeah,
And
and he's in his 80s because he mercy killed his wife, allegedly.
okay, so I didn't know if they came out. I was hoping that not that that's the best way to do things, but when they were talking about how she had a lot of illness, like they interviewed the neighbors and they were talking about how she was pretty ill. I was hoping that was the case, and only for the best possibility. You don't hope for someone to die, and you don't hope for
No.
someone that you might have idolized as a kid to do the killing. But if it was a mercy, you have a little bit more. I wouldn't say
Sympathy?
respect or anything for it, but you
Empathy.
yeah.
You-
So I don't know,
I
but
don't know.
yeah.
I
So
haven't found anything yet, and I've been looking for a few days now. So if he
well,
didn't, I won't find it. But
so that's the thing too. They haven't officially announced his name in that case, but his neighbors have pretty much all come out and suggested who it is. So I mean that's how it got out. But I don't think the law enforcement actually revealed that it was Billy Jack, and that's
no, the article I read named him.
oh, it did name him now.
Yeah, his age and his name.
Mm.
So he's in his early 80s because she was in her 80s, late 70s or early 80s also. But
Hey,
just so
speaking of,
you know, guys, we are looking to see if he did wrestle for Wrestling at the Chase. If he didn't, then it's a copyright issue for us, but we'll try to find it anyway.
well, I mean, I know who will know. There's one person we all know that has all the cards of everyone who ever wrestled at the Chase. So if
Yeah,
I
but he's
see
as
that
busy as
person,
the rest of us.
that is true. That is true. Because he's part of a booking agency now. He books some of the legends around the places now. Him and a partner of his. Um, just when you tell a person to stop wearing so many hats, they throw another hat on. It's kind of crazy, but so him and a partner is like booking legends. I know they book Ron Simmons now, so they book him out. Um, of course, Herb loves to book our favorite person in life, Bob Orton Jr. He books him out a lot. Um, so I mean, yeah, but I'll ask him. I'm sure I'll run into him sometime this week. and we'll find out if there's any videotape of him out there.
And then I'll get it out there with for that fan. Also, keep in mind, people, next week, well, we will not be dropping a typical Squared Ring episode. We will be doing a press junket and a pre-screen for the new Roadhouse. So that's what we'll be doing. I know the lawsuit, but it's after this, and so far we haven't heard if they've canceled it. If they did, then we'll be a normal podcast. If not, we'll be doing our take on the new Roadhouse.
So after we get off of this, stay on, or I'll just text it to you. There's some details about that I want to share with you guys that I don't want to share with everyone just yet. But yeah, so we are going to do that. I like the fact that we're branching out and doing things like this. Of course, the Iron Claw had to do with wrestling, and this one technically doesn't have anything to do with wrestling because the original movie had something to do with wrestling. I don't think this one is more UFC.
MMA. Yeah. But, we do all type of sports and all type of subjects. I mean, we're not pigeonholed or typecast into doing wrestling only. So.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, that I like branching out. And
I like the fact that we only have 300 subscribers, and yet we get invited to do things like this.
Right. So, I mean, that's awesome. So, yeah. If
There's people
there,
with 2 million subscribers that don't get to do this.
Right. So again, anyone out there that's throwing a movie out there and wants some people to give their honest opinion, by all means, hit us up. We'll come out, watch that movie, and share what we thought about it, and try to build up some buzz for you if you want it. I'll be down with that. That'd be cool.
I mean, we did it for the Iron Claw, and we happen to know personal things of that. So we shared what we didn't like and what we liked. I mean, we had to wait for our agreement. We don't have one for this, so
yeah,
I'm aware of.
Yeah, I'm not aware of one yet either, but you never know until we get there.
Yep.
But yeah, it'd be a lot of cool things. AEW's already announced that they're coming back to town, so we'll see how that goes. But I don't even know.
I'll contact them again, but yeah, as you know, when my name appears on it, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Never hurts to try.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's move on. Our next card, what is it?
April 6th.
April the 6th?
Yep.
So back at the fairgrounds. Now, I don't know how many more we got at the fairgrounds because the fairgrounds is being renovated pretty soon.
Starts in June, which so happen we have something to do in June.
That's true. Yeah, so so this might be one of the last couple. So yeah, definitely, because the other ones are going to be a little further out. Not that the racetrack is much further, but the tickets might be a little bit different. Because you'll be paying to see the races as well, plus ludicrous. So definitely.
So it looks like we'll be in Belleville until June, and on the 22nd we'll switch to Fireman's Hall.
No, the Fireman's Hall is Fireman's Hall. That's not the one that's in Caseyville /
Yeah.
Is it?
I thought that's what it was called. Because he's even got it labeled as Fireman's on a couple different dates after that.
Huh. Because that's really known as a bingo hall.
But that's June, and in May our Fan Fest is our normal show. So yeah, May 4th will be the last Belleville show for a little while.
Okay. So yeah, definitely head out April, head out May while it's close, and every seat is a good seat at the fairgrounds. But yeah, can't wait to see. I mean, I've seen what the fairgrounds is supposed to look like, at least one of the last visions, because I think they're still changing it up. Because I was down there not too long ago, and there was a big committee, little council meeting going on. And then everyone walked to the racetrack and was looking at the racetrack to see Because I know they want to tear the whole thing down. At least the last time I heard, they want to tear the whole thing down and start back up again, from scratch. Um, I know
Yeah, that's the last thing I heard as well.
a lot of the racers want to make sure it keeps the same mud. Something special about that dirt, like they hold
My
that
uncle,
dirt
he's
in.
a racer, and that's what he talks about.
Yeah,
He said they ship it in from somewhere, and it's like basically lets you get the slide a little bit better.
yeah. But I can't wait
It's a
for
it's a clay
fairgrounds to
mud
actually.
mixture. It's not just mud.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it has clay in it. Some sort of special clay
Yeah.
that probably packs a lot better, so you get that smoother, raceway. But I can't wait for it for everything to get done with the fairgrounds. Especially, hopefully, if the rumors are true, that there might be a little room, like a little historical room, not even just for the wrestling part that's happened at the fairgrounds, but the people that sing there, like Dolly Parton, like Herb said, Dolly was there. Part of the Rat Pack was there. So it'd be kind of cool to see like a little history room that talks about everyone who's famous has been there. Besides all the wrestlers and Lou Thez and Bruiser Brody. But I think it'd be cool to have something like that because Belleville needs something like that. They talk about the historical houses and stuff, but I travel around Belleville a lot, for my day job, and yes, we have some nice historical houses, but a lot of the historical houses are trashed. Um, they definitely need someone to come in, swoop it up, buy it, and redo them. But a lot of Belleville is a mystery. Like when I started talking to people about all the famous wrestlers that's been to Belleville, and like Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase comes to Belleville very often. Not that many people know, but his personal preacher lives in Belleville. So and that was like his mentor forever, and so he's constantly here in Belleville.
What's funny is you bring up Ted. We had a fan on one of the Legends matches we posted to Ted DiBiase, and he goes, that was when he was the $1,000 man."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, man, that was a hell of a gimmick he had for Vince McMahon.
Yep.
Because they literally, when everyone else is flying coach, he's flying private or in first class. He was always, had a limo picking him up from the airport and taking him to the venues. He talked about how a lot of wrestlers were jealous of him and actually kind of despised him for that gimmick. But that was a gimmick that was given to him because he wasn't allowed. He personally told me this story, and I think he told our locker room this story about how McMahon would give him stacks of hundreds, and anywhere he would go, he was not allowed to pay with anything but $100 bill. So even if he went into a gas station and bought a pack of smokes and a 6-pack of beer, it was $100 bill that he had, paid for. Of course, I think he had to keep track of everything he spent, but just to have that status of, and then hiding that status very well, driving around in a limousine, even having Virgil. Speaking, Virgil passed away last week. Um, so that's kind of sad news there. I like Virgil. I know that he gets a lot of heat for not being a great wrestler, and he gets a lot of heat for talking. There was a story, I think it was The Godfather spoke about it, how The Godfather was supposed to jump to WCW because Virgil had it in and pitched this character joining the NWO. And I think The Godfather said something about he was debating about it. And then the following week, Virgil pops up in the NWO. He actually took the spot that he was trying to offer. But I know the last few years he's been having a lot of health difficulties, and even he was supposed to be at our Fan Fest last year, and he was one of them that actually had to back out because of his health as well. Uh, which sucks because we could have seen him last year before he passed away. But yeah, so he passed away last week. So that's horrible news. Another shock to the wrestling world. But get back on Belleville. Like I said, Luthez has been in the fairgrounds. Bruiser Brody's been in the fairgrounds. And those are two people that are, when you talk about wrestling, those names come up. Luthez, the #1 NWA guy in the world, he was there. And we should honor that so many famous people have come through this joint. But yeah, so yeah, if we get that little room, even if it's not a whole lot about wrestling and it's more of a historical thing, I think it'll still be cool. But the plans that I've seen, at least one of the two versions, it looks pretty cool. It's going to be a lot of grass in that parking lot. There's going to be more of a grass around the building. So, I don't know if they're planning on like a playground area or something like that for the kids. But, and of course, that parking lot needed to be redone regardless of whatever they do. The rocks there suck. The holes there suck. So it'll be nice once they redo that. I mean, they're spending millions of dollars on this thing. So it should look great.
I certainly hope so. I do know they had the time frame of 18 months. I don't know if that's extended, but I think last time I talked to Herb about it, it was 18 months from start to finish.
Well, I tell you what, there's one thing about city projects. Yeah, they never really get done on time.
That's because it's taxpayer money.
Yep. But all right, gentlemen, I think it was a nice little recap. I don't know how long it's been, but it's got to be
It's
around
been 1 hour.
There we
and
go.
It's been long enough.
Yep.
For tonight.
Yep. So again, like, subscribe, share. Please, we'd love to get over this first hurdle of 500 subscribers. We've been creeping, but I would love to blow that through the roof. We know there's other people that are fans that just started up YouTube and amazingly got over 1,000 subscribers, posting our matches. So it's kind of crazy how they were able to jump so high, and they don't talk over the matches. They don't do a podcast about the matches. They literally just show our matches, and they're doing crazy numbers. More props to them, but I would love to see the crazy numbers on our side as well.
Especially because we have rules we have to follow.
Right. And we cover a lot more stuff too than just our matches. So I would think that we would cater to a little bit more people. But it all comes down to you guys. So please share this stuff. Like it, subscribe it. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube, of course. We're on Facebook. You can drop a line to any one of those and, reach us and tell us what you like or what you want to see. And we'll do our best to fill that out and try to get someone on that you want to talk to or know their background stories on. I know I still need to get back in touch with Danny Boy. I would love to get him back on here just to see where his head is, where Ron Power's head is, and see if we get the inside scoop of what's going on in that situation.
Yeah. And we need to get our new tag team strap holders back in here.
Oh, that'll be nice too. Kind of get a little update on them and see how proud they are, and And Austin Melitalo, he was just on SmackDown last week. He didn't wrestle, but they used him as an extra. He was a security guard, and I want to say it was in Texas that he was. I don't know if he was doing something with his military down there, and they just happened to come down there, and he got on. But he seems to have the ends because he was backstage at AEW a couple of weeks ago. Now he was used on camera for WWE. So we might have a guy who's going to make it soon. So it would be nice. And then we can get him back on and see if he can tell us the inside scoops of backstage, from AEW and WWE, and see what he can tell us. It'd be kind of nice. Before we leave out here, I always kind of throw out there my recent buys, and so I want to kind of show up this Bruiser Brody. It's a little bit bigger than a baseball card, and it's like a 3D Bruiser Brody picture. So I thought that was kind of neat. You can get it on eBay. There's plenty of them out there. I think this thing cost me $2. So
Yeah,
not
and what's with the actual put together hair? I haven't seen
well.
Frank with hair that's not wild.
This is his younger version. This is when he probably first got into the business. Yeah, so he didn't come out as that wild man. He was, behind the scenes scoop. He was an accountant for a while before he was even in wrestling. He did football, so he did college football, and he was doing sports writing. So he was doing a whole bunch of stuff. And then eventually just fell out of love of football. And he knew the Funks because they went to the same college. And so he got involved with the Funks and got going on wrestling. But so what I like on wrestling could be anything. I really love all the old stuff that I don't know anything about. I can't say I love all the current stuff, but every now and then, there's one thing I didn't grab. They got new like plushy Macho Mans out there now, and Jordan, my oldest son, he picked me up one, so it was kind of cool. But this, I don't know if it's a good picture or not. Let me see if I can take it out of this guy. This is a wrestling card. Guess you would say baseball card back in the day, but it's from 1955. Again, I'm
So
pretty
bubblegum
cheap.
pack.
Yeah, so it did not cost me a whole lot. And this is actually a Canadian wrestler. But I just love how old that picture looks. That picture is so fucking cool. But his name was Larry. What's it? Cool. It almost says. I almost thought it says Kowalski, but it's pretty close. Kenlowski. It's pretty close to Kowalski. But
Close.
Larry, 1955. I love old wrestling photos and baseball cards, and man, I would love to get my hands on like old, like um, posters that they used to use for advertisement. Like when we started at MMWA, they used to have like the old school promotional posters, like the big tall posters that you would hang out on fucking trees and light posts and stuff like that. I think those were so cool. And back when I first started, that was my whole goal, was to get on that poster, because I thought those posters looked so cool, because it was done up in the old fashioned. They had like, it wasn't really a picture of you. It was like a starburst picture of you, like a star with you in the middle of it. Shit like that. I really love the old school stuff, and you can find them on eBay, but man, they are too rich for my blood right now. Maybe when this podcast takes over, we can start doing stuff like that. And even our fellow podcaster Matt Cardona, they do figure hunts and stuff like that, and then they also, and we've done it once, where if you were a selected subscriber, you got something. Well, they do figure hunts where they will actually just go out and buy a figure. Could be worth a lot, could be something new, and they just give it to a particular subscriber. So would love to get on that track too. That'd be great.
And as soon as we hit 500, we'll do it again.
There we go. There you go. There's your guys' incentive to be the 500th subscriber. But all right, so recap for us this week. Again, we're gonna have some matches. If you want to hit our YouTube channel, get some classic matches in. And you said Saturday you'll have What was it, Bobby's or Brandon's?
The Top Guns.
Top Guns.
And the Top Gun LA Hustler set to come out this Saturday.
There
That
we
is
go.
a 20-minute match, guys, so watch it all.
All right. Well, from everyone at the Squared Ring Podcast, I would like to say thank you for tuning in, and we'll hit you up next week too. All right.
You bet.
Have a good night. See you
Right,
guys.
see you.